This is the 217 Recovery Podcast with Corey Winfield and co-host Marney Winfield.
I seen somebody wearing their 217 Recovery Podcast t-shirt today. It was new, it was walking around, it was hovering above the ground, looking awesome. He was certainly happy to get that, I assume, because he was wearing it.
It is the 31st of August, 2022. My name is Corey Winfield.
My name's Marney Winfield.
And we're up early today. It's 8 to 6 a.m. This is the Wednesday version of the Tuesday podcast, which was a very special day, which we'll get to in just a sec. But let's break down that open again real quick because we got some shirts.
Yeah.
And if you're a big fan of the podcast, we want to show you a big thank you for supporting us. So if you want a 217 Recovery shirt, all you have to do is sign up to get one. Now, it's like a contest that says sign up to win. But the trick is everybody who signs up wins. Huh?
There you go.
Big trick, huh? Got your ass.
Not even small print.
Nope. I should put that in small print. Everyone who signs up will be mailed a shirt.
I guess so. You could. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just a way of going, hey, if somebody's going to take the time to fill out something and want to support us and wear our gear out there, then hell yeah, I'll send them a shirt.
Yep.
So there you go. And your father has a shirt, and my father has a shirt that are very unique. They're one of a kind. And they both got them for Father's Day.
Right.
And your dad says sober on it. Mm-hmm. So does mine. And then it says my daughter's sober date, and then it has the date. Mm-hmm. My father says my son's sober date and the date.
Yeah.
Then it has 217 on it and stuff like that. But
the best part about this shirt is the front of it said, "This is my favorite Father's Day t-shirt."
Yes.
And I don't know if it's something about that front that it says that prompts people to like want to see the back maybe, or, interested in it in general. Because it's like, why is this, is there something special about it? And then the back says that, and it just says sober, and it has, my daughter's sobriety date, and Corey's has, his dad says my son's. And my dad is just like the biggest fan of this t-shirt. I almost feel guilty, like I need to make him more, because I think he probably overwears it. And it's cute, though. He calls me and tells me these stories about people that will take time out of their day when he's just in general public and either comment on it or ask questions about it. And the one that is the most that he gets, and I'm not kidding you, like by now, we gave it to him Father's Day, and since then, he's told me about 10 different times, and I'm sure he's telling me every time. So, that people have commented on this shirt, and more often than not, people will say or add into their comment is like, tell your daughter to keep up the good work. So for a fact, in one way or another, these people are familiar with the struggle, whether it's themselves or it's somebody they love or it's somebody that is currently in active addiction, and they're just like kind of living vicariously through my dad. But he said some people get like emotional, and then others are like super curious, like they're automatically looking up the podcast, because I think he kind of like he says, well, I know there's meetings out there, and he keeps it real super layman term. I know there's meetings out there, but if you want to, tune in to something that's free and you can listen to it whenever you want, look up my son-in-law and my daughter's podcast, and then their little logos on the sleeve. So he literally points to the sleeve so they can go find it on their in their app store. And it's really, he's a walking billboard, but yeah. So, and he's just beaming, and he's like, because truly what better gift could you give, someone that you love than having that person, stay sober another day. And so truly it was like the biggest gift that he could possibly ask for. And he's advertising that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Like, I didn't think they would wear them out like that, but my dad, I don't know if, I'm sure he wears his, but it's interesting. We're a part of a club, and it's kind of not a secret club anymore. It's more accepted.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just because my views about it have changed. You know, where I'm open and where I'm at in my recovery, I'm proud of it. Mm-hmm. I'm proud of the life that I live today. I can't change the past. So it's hard for a lot of people to accept that. Mm-hmm. It's some people early on are still afraid to even go to treatment because, you know, what are people going to think about me? And I remember those days, man. I do. And it's just, you got to work your way through it. It's those uncomfortable moments that you learn to lean into.
Yeah.
You know, everything's uncomfortable. If I said, hey, go fly a plane today, you would be uncomfortable as hell. But after about a year or two of flying the plane, and I said, hey, let's go fly a plane today, you'd be like, all right. You know, it's just doing it over and over and getting more comfortable with it. And flying a plane, you don't really want to mess up along the way, but but I'm sure some people do.
Oh, that's why there's always a co-pilot too. Count on your co-pilot. Keep them around.
Did Marney just say go find a girlfriend? No, Marney did not say that.
Oh my
Your
God.
co-pilot is meetings. It's your recovery
That's what I
support
meant.
systems.
Yes, absolutely.
So don't take that how you want to hear it.
Yeah, but we're thinking about kind of tunnel visioning the T-shirt piece and like coming up with like 2 or 3, because we always come up with new logos, which are cool. And when you sign up to win a free T-shirt, you honestly don't really know what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
It's a surprise, which is fun. I mean, they're all really cool, but maybe getting more organized about posting on our website what T-shirts we're gonna have made available, and then you can custom make them to have them be, you know, your own.
Yeah.
With your own information on it, and not information, but you know what I'm saying.
Your social security number, credit card.
No, following kind of like the structure of what we had, and I don't know. It's just a thought, because I'm telling you that every once in a while I get a winner with gifts, and it's always something like that. You know.
Yeah. It was a good idea.
Yeah.
Because when do you give somebody who really doesn't want anything, or
right,
you know, and it's Father's Day, okay, yeah, and how do you show appreciation? That's really what that's more about, you know.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so that's fun, and yeah, that's exciting too that we're gonna offer those for people to create their own custom stuff and kind of tweak it how they want to word it, and we'll ship it out to you and not cost $150,000, you know.
Yeah, it's going to be totally reasonable pricing and a good quality shirt too. So
look for that coming soon. And then the 217 Recovery Coffee and our stand-up tour.
Whoa. Slow down.
Sorry. I got 80 things on the list. But no, for real. And that's the thing. Some people go like, yeah, Corey, you don't have the coffee yet. Ha, sucker. I heard you talking about a year ago. Just keep waiting.
He's building.
Seriously, I don't give up on my stuff. Sometimes it takes time, and sometimes other things pop up, and I'm like, I'd rather do this first. But it's good to have goals. It's good to strive for things. And if you don't, you become complacent, you know, just in life in general. So have some goals. Mm-hmm. Obtainable.
So to segue into something,
yes.
The date on that shirt.
What was that date?
That I gave my father.
What was that date?
Was yesterday's date.
What was it? It was you never remember.
I never remember the actual date. The 30th.
Yes, the 30th of August. Now, back in 2019, 30th of August, what was you doing?
30th of August was that would have been.
What were you doing?
That would have been. I'm trying to remember if I went to detox.
30th. You probably went on the 29th.
Yeah, probably the 29th.
So the 30th, you woke up feeling like
crap.
2 cents.
Yep, 2 cents. That's about right. But I didn't drink that day, you know. So that was my first day of the rest of my life. That's the way I look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
3 years is a long time. Mm-hmm. But yet it's not.
No, it's definitely not.
But
I'm here. So I had class last night. I just started my semester, and I'm actually a full-time student and working a full-time job. So yeah, try to catch me in a couple weeks and see how sane I am. Anyhow, we had like our first class for one of my classes, and everybody's like, when you were in your getting your bachelor's, it was always like, it's syllabus day. You don't even really do anything. Oh no, this was like right off the
playing
get.
Around, huh?
No, it's a whole different ballgame. And but we did do the initial like meet each other and introduce each other. We had to share either a quote that moved us, a picture that was meaningful, and explain it, or the why of why you were choosing this profession of social work. So I kind of comboed all those in the same, and I had my coin that my wonderful husband got me, my 3-year coin, that I have an actual keychain. You can actually fit the coin into like this really fancy triangle. It's really neat. You can get them on Amazon.
And you can use it as a weapon.
And in case, definitely. It can keep you safe.
Yeah.
Save your life in so many ways.
You never know.
You never know. And so I had that, but I, started off, I opened with, that I identify as a person in recovery from substance use disorder. And I said, honestly, this degree means a lot to me. And being in this program right now is really a huge milestone because I started pursuing that degree in 2007.
Whoa.
That was a long friggin' time ago.
But you can't go back. It's been so long, Marney. You can't do it.
Oh, no. That was one of those pit in your stomach, like, and then I thought about all the, like, time and effort. And meanwhile, I was sober for those 2 years while I was in the program before. Actually, I started it like when I was about maybe 8 months sober or so. So I didn't have, and then I ended up withdrawing from classes because I was not going to fail a class and I had relapsed and I knew myself better. And I was like, you got to call this one because you don't want to fail stuff. I was failing at life. I didn't have a problem with that, I guess.
At least you had a little sense to do that.
But yeah, and I went and I talked to my professor and I was straight up because I had shared in class before about, and this is the thing, and it wasn't a pink cloud, but it was celebrating where I was at that time in my recovery. But I was on probation. I was in drug court, so it was very intense. Like the accountability piece was huge with, legal oversight and all that stuff. So it wasn't really my own. And I felt that. I felt that. Not saying that you can't grow from that and actually like embrace it and then run with it, which is what I should have done. But I don't know. I can't explain, it's a disease and I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready yet, I guess. But anyhow, I went on to explain that so picking up this degree now at this point in my life was huge because I had to do a ton of work. I had to go back, dig through all my syllabus, which I still had from 2007, which insane. I mean, I don't even know.
But you're not a hoarder.
I'm not a hoarder. I like shoved it specifically in like my mom's basement, and that's the only reason it still exists now, because she would never probably throw anything away that's like that. So anyway, I had to dig through all that, and I ended up getting I had to present, and there's some classes that I have to test out of because the names don't match from back in the day. But I ended up getting credit for the majority of the work that I did during that year and a half, and so I ended up starting at advanced standing. But sharing that piece and then sharing how much that my recovery meant to me and how, that's why I want to help other people. And I want to help people that have, all kinds of issues, not just, substance use disorder. So this is an opportunity now to kind of get outside my comfort zone and really kind of, be exposed to like clients that are struggling with different issues and different disorders, personality disorders and other mental issues. And so, and to help them. So I'm really excited about it. And I got all teary-eyed, and then a couple of members of my class kind of got all teary-eyed, and I was like, I'm going to cry. And then my professor's like, no, I'm going to cry.
Dang.
Yeah. And she's like, thank you so much for sharing that. That was really cool. And she's like, you're going to help a lot of people because of what you've been through. I'm sure it's been a lot. And I was like, lady, you have no idea.
You say thanks for knowing that?
Yeah. I just kind of nodded my head.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
No. That's great. And that is cool that you got to share that. Your husband was kind of worthless yesterday. He just said, congrats on your 3 years. And gave you the coin and was sleeping the rest of the day when you seen him. So, no, we were going to do the podcast yesterday, and that was my plan, but I really took another sick day, so didn't work out like I thought it was going to. But at least we got up early and were able to talk about that. And for your 3 years, like, I don't know if it's like this for you, but it feels like we're still in early recovery, but we're not. Like, it's really weird. And, we see people with the, 10 years and 15 years, and it's like, damn, I want that. But we know how to get it, but we just can't obviously get that overnight. But even having the 3 years, though, is just amazing. And there was a time when you probably thought it was impossible and that it wasn't going to happen to you.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And when you ask me, like, people always say, is it different? Because I've had a chunk of time before, like I was talking about, and it is different. So when you're saying it feels like it's been a long time, it's because, first off, I've never had 3 consecutive years in a row before on my own, regardless, on court, on paper, except for when, so before I ever drank, obviously. But so this is the longest amount of time I've ever had, clear of drugs and alcohol. And why it seems like it's been longer than 3 years is just because it's all been my own. And I just right from the get-go was like, I'm going to do this. Like, I'm going to do it, and this is me changing my life. Now I just got to do the work. And I just kept reminding myself. And there were days that were hard, and there were days that were easy, and there were days that, days that I doubted myself because, to never ever drink again, like, that's a freaking hard pill to swallow. But got through that day, and the next day I didn't even think about it. It's just making a decision to make that change and sticking to it no matter what it takes. And then keeping yourself surrounded by people who support you and, that are doing the same thing too. Meetings. I work in recovery, so I'm constantly talking about it. Every day is a meeting for me in kind of some weird way. And I learn from the people that I work with too.
The people that you work with, speaking of that, you put yourself in good situations by remaining sober. And when you took that job, it was a job that most people wouldn't want. It didn't pay anything, and you had to work weekend overnights. You had to go in at like 11. You got off at like 6 or 7 in the morning, sometimes later. It was not a job most people would want. But you knew, like, okay, this is part of my plan. This is what's going to keep me sober. You hung out with the right people, like me, and you let go of those other relationships that weren't healthy. And by working that job that nobody else probably would want, and by being there, by being sober, showing up for things, and like your job, people notice that, opportunities open up, and you get those, and you get rewarded with those. And then they see what a hard worker you are. And just by staying sober, you put yourself in those great situations. And a lot of times I think it's hard for people to even imagine that happening because they think of themselves so low and just think, oh, I'm just a piece of trash. No one's ever going to like me. Or what if in 3 months I relapse again? Then I lose that job. Oh, here we go. But you didn't think like that at all. You thought of, this is what I'm doing and I'm getting it. I'm doing it this time. And not really I'm doing it this time, but it was more of just a whole lifestyle change and not accepting going back to that old lifestyle. Like, you had enough, and whatever it takes is what you were going to do. If that means you go back to waitressing, and then work that job on the weekend, you were still going to work that job, And that is just a example of your will and determination, because you knew, like, okay, well, especially, if you go to some places and you start looking around, you're like, well, that guy's not so bright. Like, how is this dude in this position? Give it time, man. Like, just keep doing what you need to do. Don't focus on other people or what they're doing or what they're not doing. You just do what you need to do. And people will recognize it. And it's hard to imagine that because the lifestyle we've lived so many times, for so many years, we're just kind of trying to skate by.
Mm-hmm.
At least I was. And just don't notice me. Don't know. Yeah, give me my ratings bonus, but that's about it. Like just stay out of the way. Just don't notice me. I'm over here. Where now, it's totally different for me, obviously. But just being in that state of mind of this is what I want, this is what I'm going to go get, I think it's very important for people in early recovery. And I don't know when someone's going to have that mindset, if it's going to be the third time, fourth time in treatment. Some people don't have to go to treatment. Some people can just go get it right away, which is cool. Good for them. But it's something that really kind of needs to happen, though. And without that, I think a lot of people like myself are just kind of flopping back and forth thinking, well, this isn't fair. How come I can't get it? But I'm not doing anything to actually go get it. But in my mind, I'm doing just enough so I can tell people that I'm going to these meetings, I'm going to my therapy appointments, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing. Like I used to say all the time, not really like that, but I'm doing everything, man. I'm doing meetings, doing it. Well, I really wasn't. And to give myself a little, not a little credit, but a little slack is I was stuck. Like I didn't know what I wanted to do. And for people our age, most of the time by their 40, they've had a career going, they've had a job. It's very scary for them just to go, well, I'm going to go to treatment now. Mm-hmm. I'm going to take 2 weeks off because a lot of people think they can't, but you can. There's a law for that, that will protect you in your job. It's supposed to. And if it doesn't, we've talked about this on podcasts before. If it doesn't, then you don't need to work there anyway.
Right.
And there are other jobs. Yeah, but I got a house. I got this and that. Maybe you don't need to go to inpatient, maybe you need to go to outpatient, or maybe you just need to go for a week or who knows, there's therapists well, you're not a therapist yet, but like my wifey, but there are people you can talk to about that and that can really help you with that and, get you back on the right track. But I'm telling you, you're never too young. You're never too old, to find the help and get back on the right track. There was a woman at the AA meeting I went to a couple weeks ago, and she was like, yep, I didn't even really start drinking until the kids left the house. Mm-hmm. And, you had talked about that on a podcast, and I was thinking, my wife was just talking about this on our podcast. But she went a couple years and realized, like, her quality of life was just going down the tubes. Like, her kids didn't want her around. Like, they didn't want her around the grandbabies.
Yeah.
And I think her son is the one that had to talk with her and kind of explain things to her. Like, look, Mom, like, I know you get all this free time and you earned it or whatever, but this is why we don't want you around, and it kind of clicked for her. And she had 8 months clean, but she was just like, my God, what a difference. Like, how did I even slip into that? Like, she was kind of amazed that people like us went through our whole lives in that
misery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, she's just like, oh my God. Like, yeah, that's crazy. But there's hope for people. And I was taking a guy the other day, and he was being a dick. Like, one of the things, I do is take people to and from treatment. 217 Recovery does that. And it's everyone's different. I'll just say that. But dude was kind of being a dick, and it was everybody else's fault and this and that. And I realized, like, he was, like, in this false world, almost. And I started thinking about it when I got home. I was laying in bed, and I was like, man, I wasn't ever a dick, was I? Laugh track, please. And I was like, well, I started remembering, like, I would feel guilt and shame, but the guy was intoxicated. And when I was intoxicated, there might have been a few times, but for the most part, I didn't feel the guilt shame part, like, until after, like, when I was already going through the withdrawals. So it kind of made sense that dude was kind of being a dick because, well, that's kind of what intoxicated people do, and that's how they act. And so it didn't really surprise me too much, but it kind of surprised me that I thought about that and kind of was like digging into it and diving into it a little deeper than what I really needed to. And the bottom line is, when someone's intoxicated, my mom told me this is having a conversation with them is pretty much pointless.
Yeah.
And so I just was like, yeah, we'll chalk it up to, I know how that dude is when he's sober. So, I'm not going to hold anything against him. And, I really hope that he can find something that moves him past this obsession with it, to think that, well, I have to do it to be around people, or I have to do it to be able to talk, or, to go to the store, I have to be drunk. Like, it's a hell, but it'll get in your brain and tell you that that's the truth.
Yeah.
Anyway, so.
But he made it there, so that's good.
Yeah, he did. And like, see, I don't even think he knows, but it was either I go scoop him up or he goes to jail.
Well, I mean, lots of times I
other
think
things going on there, and it's like, I don't think he knows how close he was to going to jail. Like I could have been like, nah.
And that's a time where I think it's a fair point to actually bring that up and point that out. But, I bet you most of those individuals, deep down, they know that they need to make a change. They're just angry about it because they know what they're getting into, first off, is going to be uncomfortable, Yeah. And so, there's that irritated, kind of, God, here we go kind of thing. And so got to kind of give them a little bit of grace and just be like, all right, you're doing the right thing. Just know you're doing the right thing. Leave it at that.
But if you light that cigarette, you will be walking there. Everybody has options. Yeah, it's interesting sometimes, though, and taking people. And then another lady reached out to me through the app, and they were like, hey, we need to write treatment. And I mean, we do some private pay stuff, but most of it is done through kind of the treatment centers we work with. And like where someone, if they need a ride, and there's no other way to get there. And, say you're a mom and your kid's been going through it and you've taken him 8 times. You're like, nope, not taking him again. Depending on where he's going, we work with some of the treatment centers. So you just have to let them know, hey, look, my nephew needs to get the treatment or my son needs to get the treatment, whatever it is. And there's no way for them to get there. I am not missing work. I can't, that affects my life. I'm not taking vacation day, and kid needs to get there, talk to the treatment center and, they have to reach out to us. Mm-hmm. That's how it works for the reimbursement part of it. And I'm trying to make that an easier process through the whole state of Michigan, which I need everybody listening to pray for me. 'Cause
got it.
It's not as easy as you would think it would be. And you can explain the situation and they look at you or they write you back or they talk to you on the phone and say, yeah, that makes sense. But just not the way that that's going on. It's not how we're doing things, And
you're like, but you need to.
Yeah.
That's what you need to do.
Like,
do the right thing.
I just say, well, who do we hold accountable then? Because there was a ride that I did the other day, and Marney doesn't want to talk about this.
No, go ahead.
No, we're done. Thanks for listening, though. Do appreciate you. And I'll probably do a podcast with Adam later, too, just to do one.
Cool.
Listen, and we'll be back. I'll be back later with Adam.
All right.
Thanks.
Have a good day, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the 217 Recovery Podcast. Win a bunch of free shit from 217 Recovery. Go to the app or the website, 217recovery.com.